Life for All presents Daily Food Series, The Word of Life, The Fellowship of Life, and Living Stones for the Edification. The Epistles of John and Peter. Title of Book 6. The Prophetic Word, A Light That Shines in a Dark Place, by Pedro. Week 1. Do not think it strange concerning the fiery trials. Friday. Learning obedience through suffering. Read with prayer. Who, in the days of his flesh, when he had offered up prayers and supplications with vehement cries and tears to him who was able to save him from death, and was heard because of his godly fear, though he was a son, yet he learned obedience by the things which he suffered. Hebrews chapter 5, verses 7 and 8. If we are insulted for the name of Christ, we are blessed, for the Spirit of glory rests upon us. This is what it means to suffer as a Christian. It is not about suffering as an evildoer or as someone who meddles in other people's affairs. 1 Peter chapter 4, verses 15 and 16. Let us not be like those who suffer because of inappropriate behavior. On the contrary, instead of getting involved in gossip, we should take care of ourselves by immersing ourselves in the Word and inculcating it in our hearts so that we may be transformed. In Antioch, the disciples were called Christians for the first time. Christian in Greek is Christiano and indicates belonging, that is, those who belong to Christ. At that time, this word had a pejorative connotation, but Peter encouraged the brothers and sisters not to be ashamed of following Christ, but rather to glorify God through that name. As Christians, we are disciplined so that our souls may be saved. This is God's governmental judgment, and it begins with the church. 1 Peter chapter 4, verses 17 through 19. When God judges the world, the church will have already undergone judgment. We do not like to go through suffering, but it is better to be judged today so as not to be disapproved when the Lord returns. By being corrected today, we can change course and seek the Lord's approval. Keep in mind that nothing will go unpunished. God is the righteous judge, and all injustice will be punished. Those who have harmed the church and its families will be judged. When we are disciplined, let us not lose heart, but seek to be more obedient to the Lord and the Word. Jesus himself learned obedience through the things he suffered. Hebrews chapter 5, verses 7 and 8. We too go through sufferings to become more obedient. God's will is for Christ to be the head over all things. For this to be accomplished, he must first head up the church. He needs to rule our lives, and this requires our obedience. When we learn obedience through suffering, Christ rules us. Through his word, he brings our thoughts captive to his obedience. 2 Corinthians chapter 10, verses 4 and 5. The word is the weapon to tear down the strongholds of our mind, such as our logic and our justifications. Through our submission to Christ, all disobedience will be punished. Verse 6. Even though we suffer, God raises up people to shepherd us, elders. 1 Peter chapter 5, verses 1 and 2. During his travels, the Apostle Paul passed through the cities, establishing churches, and when he returned to visit them, he established elders in each place. Thus, in each city, there is only one church and one body of elders. The Spirit, through the apostles, chose elders, Acts chapter 14, verse 23, who, among those who have believed in the Lord Jesus, are the more mature brothers, whose function is to oversee the church, Titus chapter 1, verse 5. Elders are also bishops, Titus chapter 1, verse 7. In Greek, bishop is episkopos, overseer. So the term bishop and elder refer to the same person. In the 2nd century, these two terms were treated as distinct categories, with the bishop being considered superior to the elder. However, according to the Bible, an elder is a more mature brother who exercises the role of bishop, overseer in the church. I reiterate that an elder is appointed by the apostle to take care of the church. Therefore, the argument that the apostle no longer has a connection with the church after the election of the elders is not correct. On the contrary, in Acts, we see that Paul continued to lead the churches through the word. In addition to taking care of the everyday affairs of the churches, elders must lead the brothers and sisters to closely follow the prophetic word, and thus everyone will be well shepherded.